YouTube, what is up? We are back with another day at the Life of Time. It's pretty dead in here today, which is nice. We get a little sumo deadlifts in today. Gonna go sumo deadlifts, gonna go jumps, gonna hit some weighted squat jumps. Been really enjoying that like deep tier weighted squat jump, building those up. So we'll go actual barbell. So we'll build up to 1 rep max here, hit the horizontal jumps there, and we'll build up to something heavy on those weighted squat jumps, kind of build those out. Tweaked my back lifting with Welty the other day. Apparently 1 rep maxing a bunch of cleans with the chains and pin squats after a heavy swing day, and then going into a softball tournament after. It wasn't the brightest idea. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was getting into, but had a little bit of nerve pain coming down the leg for the last probably 4 or 5 days going into Monday. So I guess it happened Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday I was pretty beat up. I was in tough shape. I was in that like locked like a fuck. I was walking like a dumbass. Had some nerve pain down on the foot. Swinging on it was pretty brutal. Once I warmed it up, it got going, but spammed 200 spinal moves every single day. We were just going side to side. We were working some neck stuff. We were working some spinal flexion is really, really big for me. Flexion, extension, but getting into that flex position, breathing through that flex position, getting back into it. Felt amazing. Was feeling pretty stiff going into Monday's workout. Was actually going to go in it just to get work done. I was literally just gonna, my whole goal was to do some like no foot snatches just to get moving, hit 200 spinal flows right before that workout. Hit it, back completely released, nerve pain went away, and we actually crushed a no foot snatch PR that day, which was pretty insane. It was the second most weight I've ever snatched that day. Everything clicked and it was pretty dope. So obviously it doesn't work that way every single time, but it's cool to put to practice the principles that we talk about, right? Like, we don't just preach the spinal movements for no reason, right? Like, I really do believe there's a reason they work. And if you have back pain, definitely implement some of these things, right? Get that spine moving, respect your body's ability to heal, direct it in which way to heal, and then give it resources to do so, which is food, sleep, recovery, right? Obviously, those aspects I'm not the best at, but give it those 3 things, you direct it that way. You don't freak out when an injury happens, when pain comes. And it's tough. I'm saying that out of pain right now when I had the pain. I guess I do a pretty good job of not freaking out now. But I was still pretty pissed that it happened, but I knew it was happening on Friday. You heard me bitch about it all day Friday, how the spine. And then as soon as I left, I sat in that car for 30 minutes. I got fucking locked up. But once we freed the spine up, feeling amazing. We're back at it today, 4 days later, and it's pretty sweet. So don't freak out when injuries happen. Just attack that injury, come back, realize your body will heal, and then get back to doing what you're doing, man. So build up to 1 rep max sumo deadlifts today. Let's rip it. Wait. Obviously, the goal when it comes to injuries and pain is to not go into injury and pain caves, right? Spending your whole life trying to avoid injuries and trying to avoid pain is just truly not realistic if you're trying to do cool things. Like, I knew I was overshooting with Welty, and I think a lot of athletes, like, you're overshooting when you're doing what you're doing. A lot of times it's required, and in my case, it's not even required, but it's just something I want to go do, right? Like, I want to push my body. I want to go do these things. It's fun, man. Being in pain isn't fun. Pushing too far isn't fun. But pursuing something cool is fun. Doing fucking cool things with your body, which is what your body is here to do, is fucking awesome. Approaching your training in the sense of avoiding all of that, when at the end of the day, these injuries can happen regardless. Like that same back pain, again, especially in the past when I wasn't training my spine the way that I'm training it now, I had that same back pain getting out of cars sometimes. I would tweak my back slipping on ice, right? Like these same injuries, the same pain can happen even when you're not doing cool things. So you might as well do cool things when you're doing it. Again, I'm not saying overshoot all the time. I'm saying if you're gonna go push something and you're gonna go do cool things and you're trying to push your body and you're trying to do something that's awesome, regardless of if it's awesome in the world level or awesome just for yourself, of like, I wanna go do a backflip, I wanna do chain cleans, I wanna go do something fun with my buddies, I wanna go do something stupid. There's a risk there. And I think accepting that risk and then understanding if that risk was too high and something bad happened, that you are okay at the end of the day and the body will heal and come back, I think is a very powerful data point to have for a lot of people. And I just don't think it's talked about enough in the fitness world. I think everything we talk about is the fear monger, stay away, stay away, stay away, don't do this, don't do that. It's a very flawed kind of principle and approach to training, because these bad things will happen regardless. Again, I've had much worse back pain that has kept me out for months at a time, slipping on ice, literally slipping on ice in college, right? There's no over pushing. At that time, I was fucking McGilling everything, and the back pain still happened, right? So I was way less cool, and I still had back pain. Now I at least get to do cool fucking things, and I got back pain for like 2 days, knowing I was gonna get back pain. Like, I accepted what was gonna happen in that setting, right? So it's just my approach. I'm not saying everybody needs to have the same approach and same thought process. I just think if you want to go do cool things, I think it's a flawed approach to think nothing bad's ever going to happen. And I think it's a flawed approach because then when something bad does happen, you sit in this thought process of what could I have changed? What could I have done? All these things. And the answer is probably nothing. In my case, so you'd be a little bit smarter with the training. But if you just accept that bad things could happen, then when they do, you accept it, and you can start the recovery process right away. And I had that back pain happen, and again, I've had back pain before in the past where I had that injury and I freaked out and I got pissed and I stopped moving. I just sat in my fucking bed in pain for weeks at a time rather than doing the spinal movements, rather than red lighting right away, rather than hitting the sauna, right? Like, so accept that risk when bad things do happen, accept that the bad thing did happen, and then just go approach the recovery in the same way that you approach your training, which is fucking hard, with massive intent, with the belief that you're gonna heal, and you will heal and you come back, and then you did the cool thing and you sat out 2 days, right? And I didn't even sit out. It literally didn't keep me from doing anything other than walking around like an idiot and being in pain for a little bit, right? Like, so just the thought process there. I get it wasn't it wasn't an Achilles injury. It wasn't like a career-ending injury. Not all injuries are going to be able to recover from that fast. I understand that. Just a little antidote I had for a real life experience, and just talking about these things in real life rather than talking about these things, the textbook kind of thought process where we say things but they never actually apply in real life. So, all right, shut up. Just start sumo deadlifting. So with those deadlifts, we got these Blaine broad jumps. He's got these as his signature broad jumps, jumping off something. So we got a broad jump off and then a broad jump for distance. Here, let's rip. Ooh, let's go. One of the things, and this is complete bro science here, so don't take this and fucking quote me with this, but learning how to snatch has significantly helped my broad jumps. I think a lot of times I'm so quad dominant that I lost a lot of ability to use my hips throughout the years. And even when I used to clean, again, even if everything I do, I try to squat everything that I do. And getting that hip extension has never really felt great for me, has never really felt like it's clicked for me, especially in my swing. And being able to learn how to segment and use, I don't know about segments, but use the hips and load up into the hips and then explode through them in the snatch and in the swing has been absolute money in these broad jumps. And it's been something that I've been feeling in the broad jumps where I'm actually getting that triple extended position. I know triple extension gets a little like overhyped, but actually having the option to go there has been absolute money compared to where we were in college, which my broad jump was absolute trash. So let's get it. Oh, definitely not as far. We got one more. Jumping in these Oli shoes. Not ideal. Not ideal for the feet. Last one here. Ooh, let's go. Last little warm up till we get the singles. Coming back from back stuff, a lot of times I will cut everything, especially with my athletes, cut everything to singles. For myself, I push those singles probably a little bit too hard. I would never have my athletes like push singles, but I found that like repeat compression activities, so repeat squats and repeat deadlifts, especially when you don't have a chance to reset, is a lot of times when that back flares up. And I think a lot of it's just like that reset, like the technique isn't as good when you're pulling off your second rep. A lot of times you're falling forward, you're coming forward a little bit on the deadlift. On the squat, you can tweak to the side a little bit back and forth. Whereas I think when you're doing just a single rep, you can kind of keep it much more clean. So whenever I'm coming back from back pain, I kind of cut everything to singles and then get that heavy strength stimulus done in a single. And if I want to hit more volume that day, I'll just hit more singles, right? So that's just a little hack that I found that's helped me still get the heavy strength stimulus, just cut it off of not doing 5s and 3s, keep it in at singles until it's feeling money. All right, let's go. All right, a couple clean singies here, let's go. Ooh, almost lost the toe. Ooh. Whee. All right, probably call it after this. Keep this the last single unless it's absolute butter, but keep the back fresh, rip this, get a little pull stim in, then we'll hit our squatted jumps, go from there. Let's get it. Ooh, let's go. All right. Then before we get to all the accessories, which is just going to be a machine circuit today, we're going to hit some leg extensions, hamstring curls, a little bit of hip machines. The orthopedic cost low today after those deadlifts. We got some squatted jumps here. Going to build up to 5 repeat squatted jumps. Keep adding weight until we can't. Let's go. Whoever tell was the first one I saw that really started loading up squatted jumps, but I've been ripping them at least once a week, like going pretty heavy with repeat squatted jumps. And I truly believe, I know there's not a lot of magic exercises, but I think if you progressively overloaded squatted jumps, like repeat squatted jumps from the bottom of a squat, you could turn yourself into an absolute fucking freak. You're getting huge strength stimulus done, getting huge power stimulus done, and just building up a lot of really good qualities, and they feel like money. So do more squatted jumps. Let's go. Oof. One little thing on the deadlift as my algorithm's been switching over to more Olympic lifting stuff because it's what my little ape brain has been interested in recently. I keep seeing the argument versus like ways you should deadlift to improve your snatch, and how people are talking about the very technical aspects of a snatch grip deadlift and the importance, and how the snatch grip deadlift is the only deadlift that has a carryover to a snatch. I don't know. This is coming from a guy that doesn't snatch a lot and doesn't deadlift a lot, so take it with a grain of salt. But my personal belief, I just think that's a super silly kind of thought process. The snatch is so technical. To say any form of deadlift is going to hurt or help your snatch technique, it just seems like two totally different movements, and you just train it like two totally different movements. It seems like a very sport-specific kind of mindset. Not saying the snatch grip deadlift is bad. I think you should definitely build up your snatch grip deadlift as well. But to say like a regular deadlift doesn't have a carryover to snatch grip, like get really fucking strong pulling, and then picking up any sort of weight is gonna feel easier. Again, there's no negative to doing snatch grip deadlifts or building up your snatch grip deadlift. I just think overthinking and overanalyzing what deadlift variation you're doing, especially for most people that overanalyze and overthink when they don't deadlift a lot and they don't snatch a lot as well, is kind of a silly approach to things. Just deadlift a lot of weight and get really strong in the pulling and hinging type exercise, and it's gonna help your ollies. Will is a beautiful example. Dude deadlifts fucking 900 pounds and cleans 500 pounds. Like it's a pretty sweet, pretty direct correlation there. That's sports science for you. Let's get it. Probably be the last set here, unless it's feeling really amazing. I don't want to keep it still jumpy. I think if I get to 225 or just a little bit heavier, it's probably going to be pretty squatty. I'll leave the ground just a little bit, but want it still to be a jump and actually build up the jump portion rather than just meatheading it and turning it into a squat. But you never know. Next week I could load up 4 plates and do a calf raise on this and pretend like I jumped. Never really know where the head's going to be. Let's get it. Oof. Let's go. Oh. Fuck it, we're doing one more set. That felt good. All right, rule of thumb when you're training, always let the ape brain win. You can go off on all these sports science rants, but if your body's telling you to keep going, your mind's telling you, hey, you got a little bit more in the tank, you probably do. I think a lot of times the smarter we get in our training programs, the dumber we actually get. And I think obviously a lot of the best results come when you're in high school because of the newbie gains, but I also think it's just because you're fucking stupid and you send everything, right? And I think we need a little bit more stupid high school sending and a little less plotting and planning when it comes to your programming. Let's get this, last set. Oof! Whew. Spicy. All right, we're gonna say goodbye and we're gonna rip a bunch of machines. Let's get it. All right, YouTube, that is a day. Well, it's a day for us. I'm gonna go rip a bunch of machines. There's too many people over there. Yeah, guys, so I'm gonna go hit 4 sets of 25 leg extensions, 4 sets of 25 leg curls, and 4 sets of 25 with 2 hip machines, abduction, adduction. Been feeling really money. Adding those machines in, get the low orthopedic cost hypertrophy stimulus in, especially for my hamstrings. Been feeling my hamstrings be pretty strong after them, and I think those hip machines, man, I think they're absolute money. I think a lot of Division I programs need to spend a lot less money on force plates and just get a couple hip machines, and you'll solve a lot of problems. I think it's pretty hard to progressively overload a lot of those smaller muscles effectively without machines. There's ways to do it, and we're creative about it. At our gym, obviously, we don't have the machines. At our gym, mostly due to space. You have the space to do it, and you have the funds to go get a bunch of machines and program effectively. I think they're absolute key. So we're gonna go rip those, leave with a sickening leg pump, and then go steam room and sauna and get out of here. I got a question in the Q&A that I wanted to cover, I planned on covering, and then I started yapping about everything else, about how I'm 30, the guy said I'm 36, but feeling like 45, how can I change up my training to feel young again? And I think it has a lot, and I think it ties in. I wanted to talk about this today when I was talking about my lower back, because I think it's kind of the same training principles. Like, you need to respect your body's ability to move and heal. You need to give it a stimulus to make it understand that it can move and heal, and you need to give it resources to do so. And obviously, as the cost of living, the cost of your stress, which is your age, goes up, recovery deposits need to go higher, right? So you need to be sleeping more, you need to be eating better, you get away with a lot less. But in the practical side, not talking about take your fucking creatine, the basic stuff, everybody knows that, they're just not doing it right. And me saying that's probably not gonna change that. But in the training side of things, something that people actually will take and train, you gotta train variously. You gotta train like you're young. You gotta sprint, you gotta jump, you gotta move again. You gotta move your body like a young person. And I am telling you, I know it sounds so simple, I know it sounds so dumb, but I am telling you, if you give your body the stimulus and you tell your body it is a young body that is able to do things like this again, it will start to listen. And as soon as you tell your body it is not a young body and it is not able to do these things, it will also listen. Your body just adapts to stimulus at slower and faster rates for sure, especially when age comes into play. It will slow down the body's ability to adapt, but it does not stop the body's ability to adapt. It will speed up the ability to not move as quickly and not move as young and not move as nimble as you used to. And if you give it a stimulus to allow it to speed up, expedite that. And that's why you're feeling like 45 at 36 years old. So start training and moving like you're young again, and you'll start feeling like it. And you can regress that so far. You can do simple things like a bear crawl, like adding in some sprints where you're going at like 80% tempo, like things that you just weren't doing because you're sitting in an office chair all day and then just decided to stop doing it. I'm not saying you have to go train like a professional athlete. I'm saying you have to train like a professional 36-year-old and take care of that body and regress it to meet where you're at. You're not going to be able to go do the things that you were when you were 20. When you're 36 now, since it sounds like you've taken a ton of time off from when you were young. And in the same way it took you a long time to get to that point. Let's say if you were a high schooler or a middle schooler that started training in middle school or high school, it took you a long time to get to the movement options that you had when you were in your prime, when you were 22, 25-ish years old, and you spent 10 years training to get to that point, get to a body that's able to sprint, jump, do cool things. And then you gave it 10 years of stimulus of not being able to do cool things, and it's adapted to that stimulus. Again, it doesn't matter what that stimulus is, the body adapts to it. So all you did was train it to sit. You trained it to not move. You trained it to hurt. You trained it to not heal. And you did that for 10 years, right? So now it's a body that knows how to not move, it knows how to not heal, it knows how to be in pain, and you gotta train, you have to spend maybe the next 5 years to train it out of that. But again, that time invested is gonna be so powerful for the rest of your life, right? Again, you just have to train it to be able to do what you want. And again, I'm saying it's simple, it's gonna be a long-term fucking process. But I wrote this quote down when I was going for a walk and it just popped in my head, but like a lot of answers to my life's problems or just stop being a bitch and go do it, right? Like the reason you're unable to do these things, the reason you're in pain, is because you're not good enough, because you haven't worked hard enough, or you haven't done so long enough. And that applies in the peak of athleticism, of the farthest things you're reaching for. It applies to your business. If you're an expert business person, you're 36 years old, you're probably making hella money. Be a CEO of a company, you're probably a fucking boss dog at that. And it's because you spent a ton of time and a ton of effort and a ton of compounding interest to get to that point. And now you gotta go do the same thing with your body and with your training. The answers are simple, the solutions are hard. The implementation is hard, but we know the answer, right? Like the answer in and of itself, test answer is A, you just gotta go circle, and it's just gonna take a long time to circle. But in the same way, building up to becoming a CEO and making a lot of money was worth it. Getting a body that is able to function and not feel like it's 45 when it's 36, it's gonna pay absolute dividends in your life. And I think it's worth it, right? So again, the answer is simple. It sounds like a meat hand answer. It sounds like a 28-year-old answer. I get that. Principles and implementation is what is hard. That's what's gonna be your sticking point. So go train like you're young. Go train like you mean it. Go put a lot of effort into that. And I bet you start feeling better. So appreciate you guys watching. Keep chopping wood.